Good rugby morning to you. If you had watched my Monday morning sports range, which I'm sure you all have, you would have seen me quickly reveal the Rugby Championship Fantasy Team of the season. I did have my doubts about that. I don't think they take sometimes reality into account about what a player can bring to the table. Also, some players like Jasper Wiese, amongst others, only came in the second half of the competition, so they can't end top. And then you ask, well, what about their impact as far as the Rugby Championship was concerned? So, anyway, I have also made my team, and then I also happened to see Tim from Eggchasers' team yesterday, which I thought was certainly better than the fantasy one. So I've compared all three. So please let me know what you think, which one's best. Just put TRC or Eggchasers or Beer Sport in the comments to say which team you like the best. I also added a bench for the fantasy team because we know it's a 23-man game. And I went and looked to see what the next best option was in terms of their points that they offer. So I'll just give all three loose heads and I'll work my way down. Okay, it'll be the fantasy team first, Bell, then Ox for Tim and Ox for myself. I mean, no-brainer. I think he's already trying to push for Ox to be World Player of the Year, and I would not disagree with that. He should definitely have got it last year. Hookers, Marx, Montoya, Marx for me. Tight heads, Newell, Louw and Louw. We both Vilku Louw fans. Locks, Vaa'i, Rubiolo for Tim and Vaa'i for me. I mean, I don't really like the guy, but I do think he adds a lot of impact. 5, Holland, and then Nortje. We both went with Ruan. 6 across the board. We know Peter Steff plays 7, but anyway, we went 6 across the board for Peter Steff to Toit. 7, Savea, and then McReight and McReight. 8, Wilson, Savea for me. I do think he has more of an impact on the field in general, and I'd like to have him and McReight on the field because every ball will be stolen. The 9s, Reinach, Gonzalo Garcia for Tim and Cam Roigard. I just think there's something special about that guy. He's at 9. And then Sasha Feinberg and Gomezulu right across the board, 10. Jorgensen right across the board for wing for all three teams. And then they had Sua'ali'i at 12 because they just took the 2 best point scorers as far as centers are concerned. And then they had Chocobares as their 13. Tim has Jordy Barrett at 12, Sua'ali'i at 13. And then I have Willemse. You know me, Willemse and 12. He is my 12. And Sua'ali'i at 13. Then the wings, Jordan and then Kolbe and Kolbe for Tim and myself. Fullback, Carreras, and then Jordan for Tim and Jordy Barrett for me. I like him at fullback, and he can kick those long-range kicks as well. Moving on to the bench, the hookers, Montoya, Takeaho for Tim and Montoya for me. The loose head replacements, Vivas, and then Bell for Tim and Tamaiti Williams for myself. The tight head replacements, there were a few other props as far as points were concerned, but then Tupou was the next available tight head. So I put Tupou for the fantasy team. And there's Thomas Dutoy for myself and Tim. Their lock is Etzebeth, Vaa'i for Tim, and Snyman. The best, in my view, the best replacement lock in the world. Not even a shadow of a doubt. The replacement loose forward, McReight. McReight and Wilson were both put next to each other in the fantasy team. But when I looked, he had a few less points. So that's why I've got him on the bench. And then Savea for Tim and Jasper Wiese, the impact he could do off the bench, imagine. Then in terms of scrum halves, it's Williams and then Reinach for Tim and Williams for me. I know it's a little South African centric, but what can I say? We did win the thing and I can't help myself. James O'Connor on the bench for the fantasy team with Juan Cruz Malia. So I went and looked at flower halves, centers, and outside backs The three that had the most points for those three categories were O'Connor, Malia, and Ikitau. And then I just thought O'Connor brings a lot to the table. He can kick, he can play flower, fullback, wing. And then Malia I took over Ikitau because we've got quite a few centre options. For Tim, Willemse, good one. And then Malia as well. And then for me, Santi Carreras, because he can play fullback and fly half, and he is a brilliant kicker. So you often need that in the closing stages. Yes, Jordy Barrett, if he's still in the field, can kick. But, man, some of those tight, close ones, he's like Franz Steyn, you know, you can kick those massive long ones, but sometimes misses the closer ones. And then also Will Jordan on the bench. For me, of course, he can play wing and fullback. So, yeah, those are the teams. What do you think? Which team do you think is the best?